Like, holy, whoa, this is
Yeah.
real.
And yet they were calling her out. So clearly someone was like, I really don't know what the fuck's going on. Somebody must have been actually like shook a little bit to pin it on her. Because you're right, that would make a better story for them to say like, oh, this is absolutely real. But for somebody to go and investigate and try to do a report on it and then come back and say like, oh no, that girl must be doing it. That sounds like fear.
Yeah, and it's such a weird. Okay, so this is like the early 30s. I guess it's the only time you can get away with some kind of story like this. World War One's over. World War Two's far away. It's just like maybe the time was just so boring. There's like nothing going on anywhere. So you
had
just
Bat Boy in the 90s and like all those tabloids, National Enquirer and stuff. We've been just as bored in America this time.
Yeah, I guess so. That was when the space. Yeah, but that was all World Weekly News. That wasn't National Enquirer. That was.
Yeah, it was just some offshore island Enquirer.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go on with reading, and I want to pick a different song, and I want to stay in the time period of the 30s.
I'm really liking this jazz. I'm feeling really.
It's got that swing.
Yeah.
All right. But the mystery of the talking mongoose remained one to him, and his final words on the matter before returning to New York were, "Is there a ghost at Cashin's Gap? Or is it a poltergeist? Or stranger still? A survival of the familiars, the talking animal companions of witches in dark medieval days?" With the departure of Dr. Fodor, and with the British press becoming a little bored with Gef by now's predictable antics, the affair might well have ended there. However, in the summer of 1935, the indefatigable English psychic investigator Harry Price decided that he and he alone would lay the ghost. A friend of his, a businessman and well-known racing motorist, Captain M.H. MacDonald, had previously visited the farm and told of how Gef now fancied himself as a classical singer. "I tell you, old boy," said the captain. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the captain. "I tell you, old boy," said the captain. "The darned weasel is now wobbling arias from Italian operas and threatening to make a career for himself." MacDonald also gave Price some hairs, which he claimed he had plucked from Jeff's coat. However, on being analyzed, the hairs proved to be plain old cat hair. No. They proved to be those of a dog, not a mongoose, and had probably come from the Irving's farm dog, Mona. That's a good name for a dog. But it took more than one exposure to discourage Price. Together with R.S. Lambert, the editor of the prestigious Listener magazine, the investigator descended on the Irvings complete with camera and plasticine for taking casts of Jeff's paw prints. However, for once, Gef didn't show himself, either physically or vocally. Despite the lure of more publicity or an article in the Listener, and the possibility of a book to follow, he stayed tantalizingly behind the paneling.
What a tease.
So yeah, now we're going for physical evidence. And I mean, even in the 30s, that's the go-to. You got to get the hair samples, and it just turned out to be
get the hair samples.
It just plain old dog hair, as they said, and they had a farm dog named Mona, who before Gef was Voire's only friend.
I have a friend named Mona. That's funny.
Yeah,
maybe he's a mongoose. I don't know.
Bear dogs and hog dogs.
Hog dog.
I think these more of like chicken dogs and Christmas turkey dogs, as they say.
Mongoose dogs.
Yeah, weasel dogs.
And goose dogs and ghost dogs. All right. So,
hey, wait, Russ. Did you say at one point that one of the guys that was there trying to track down Gef this time was a race car driver?
Yeah, it was a businessman and well-known racing motorist.
I'm a business racer.
Captain M.H. MacDonald, which back then you could be a captain, you could be a race car driver, you could just be
so
like.
Cool.
I wish that it was H.M. That would be like Her Majesty's race car.
If I was a race driving captain and someone was like, "You need to go investigate the talking mongoose," I'd be like, "I'm living the coolest fucking life in the 1930s.
I'm
It's about
such
to
a
get
fucking
cooler.
cartoon."
Like how fucking awesome am I? Like, yeah, it's like I imagine him. He's got like that scarf around his neck and the goggles.
Yeah.
Exactly, little ascot.
Yeah.
He's like Speed Racer.
And it's a yellow scarf, right? I'm picturing yellow. I don't know.
Yeah,
why.
and he takes off his gloves and he picks the hair off and everything. Like, puts it in the actual glove.
baggy. Yeah.
Yeah.
take this back to the lab.
I like this guy.
This guy's awesome.
I want to see what else he's investigated at some point. I'm gonna check
This
out
is
his.
it.
Well,
He's a race car driver. What else is he going to investigate?
So
I don't know. L. Ron Hubbard was a race car driver on Venus. That's how he broke
really?
his back. Yeah.
Who did
In
he
a
race
past
against
life.
on Venus? Oh, in a past life.
Yeah, that's where like some
I
back
can pick
problems.
up your
came
car
from.
and flip it over.
Oh, so good. You should be flipping
well,
over.
Yeah.
let's hear about the rest of the this investigation, and let's play something else. Here we go. He didn't even appear when Voiré, who was constantly chaperoned by her father, pleaded with him to come out and say a few words. Price and his companion departed, feeling that someone had been fooling some of the people for some of the time. But they couldn't state for certain whether or not Gef was the result of a long-lasting and elaborate leg pull. The two men wrote and published their book, in which they pondered that, in all probability, Gef did exist and was capable of the powers which he had so frustratingly withheld from them. And The Haunting of Cashin's Gap, as the book was called, resulted in even more controversy for all concerned. Mr. Lambert was a governor of the British Film Institute, and he was asked to resign as not being a fit person to hold such a post. This was because of his obsession with the occult. And in retaliation, Lambert sued a fellow director, Sir Cecil Levita, for libel. The malign ghost hunter won his case in November 1936 and was rewarded some $25,000 in damages. The New York Herald called the affair a marvel tale of Gef, and an American weekly newspaper asked, "Is Voiré in a falsetto voice all there is to Gef?" The mystery remained until eventually Cashin's Gap was sold by the Irvings, and they went to live elsewhere in overdue obscurity. In 1947, the farm's new owner stated that he had shot a funny-looking weasel-like animal that he found prowling around the place. However, no one could be sure whether or not it was Gef whom he had bagged. It seemed more likely that the mongoose, if he really had existed outside of Voiré's vocal skills, had returned to his native India or had moved in with another family, who were too frightened to reveal his presence to the inspection of the world outside. So,
So that guy just filled him full of daylight, huh? He gave him some lead poisoning. I'm sorry, I'm just like all these. I happen to be looking at this list of 1930s slang, and like as you were mentioning the farmer guy, the new person like shooting the mongoose, my eyes landed on slang for shooting a gun at someone. It's like drilling, plugging, throwing lead, filling someone with daylight, giving someone lead poisoning.
I like it. I like it.
Filling
So,
them
yeah,
with
that's
daylight.
Plugging, I wouldn't have thought. That sounds very sexual, but yeah, he plugged him full of lead, I guess.
Oh,
That's kind of the end of the tale, and yes, that's what happened. So these investigators released a book, and the guy ended up kicked out of this institute he was in. So he sues the guy for libel because he's saying he's obsessed with the occult, and the guy wins $25,000, and this is 1930s 25.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money for the time, and it also almost validates the
a lot
story.
of money for me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they don't completely throw Voiré, even though she's a theory, but they're basically saying, no, we don't think she could actually do it. We think this mongoose is a ghost or shit or something. They don't, which is fascinating, and I would like to check out the book someday. But I have a list of Gef quotes, because not everything Gef has been quoted saying is in this. So I'm going to give you a few Gef quotes. I just want to see what you think of these. Okay, some of these Gef quotes. I am an earthbound spirit. I think that's an easy one. And then his next line, I am not a spirit. I am a little extra, extra clever mongoose. Okay. I like that one. He's extra, extra clever. And then another quote, if I were a spirit, I could not kill rabbits. Okay, Gef. Are you an earthbound spirit? Are you not a spirit? Now you're not. You can kill rabbits. And then he says, I am a ghost in the form of a weasel, and I shall haunt you with weird noises and clanking chains. So Gef claims that he will haunt them with clanking chains, which this kind of makes... I suppose he did. It wasn't mentioned in that, but if these are actual quotes from Gef, and there's a great site. We can get a lot of information about Gef. It's called jeffmongoose.blogspot.com. A guy named Clifford Malcolm Willett put it together, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff. It's got pictures of Gef on it, and I'm reading from the page of just Gef quotes. I like this quote though, because he does get a little weird. He says, "I'll split the atom. I am the fifth dimension. I am the eighth wonder of the world." Like, Gef.
Like, calm down. You're not ready to go into science. You just lost your entire weasel following. You need to take some time before you're going to split atoms here. He calls himself the Holy Ghost too, doesn't he?
I love this. The fifth dimension.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. If
you're going to be the eighth wonder of the world, you could surely be the eighth dimension, not the fifth dimension.
If this is not the late 60s, early 70s when you're claiming to be the fifth dimension, which is great. Here's another one. "I am not evil. I could be if I wanted. You don't know what damage or harm I could do if I were roused. I could kill you all, but I won't." Oh, thanks, Gef.
I could beat you. I could flip your car over. This would be the time for that.
He's pretty tough.
I could totally beat you up, but I don't feel like it. If I felt like it, I could.
And he really didn't like these investigators. I know you like that Captain McDonald guy, so I'm going to give you some quotes, Jude, about what Gef thought of Captain McDonald.
Oh, hell yeah.
Much like you, he said, "I like Captain McDonald, but not Harry Price. He's the man who puts the kibosh on the spirits."
He puts the kibosh on spirits?
Yeah, Harry Price is the psychic investigator, so he doesn't want him. He thinks he's got some kind of power over the fifth dimension, but he likes that Captain McDonald. And here's another one. He said, I expect he'll want to take a walk with me next." So he really likes Captain McDonald.
Oh, it's an alone time.
Getting flaky.
Here he is. Oh, Jude, man, you nailed it. Here's Gef on Captain McDonald's fashion sense. +4s, Oxford bags. +4 Oxford bags. I'm not quite sure what that means. It sounds like a compliment. And this is something he said directly to him. "Charlie, Charlie, Chuck, Chuck, Chuck. Charlie, my old sport. Clear to the devil if you don't believe me." Yeah.
Huh.
No? Can't
So
argue with
What
that.
the hell does that mean?
So, and here's just some random quotes that we'll play too. "Nuts, put a sock in it. Chew Coke."
Coke.
Hey, you know what? He's onto that. We could just chew the coca leaves instead of having to import really expensive Colombian.
Yeah. Back to nature, Gef.
Where are the leaves?
Hey, Voire, go chew Coke, all right?
Go chew Coke, you dumb bitch. Sorry.
Here's another one. "I have 3 spirits, and their names are Foe, Faith, and Truth. Put the bloody gramophone on. I don't want to combat in a turmoil with them." And, "Hey, Jim, ain't I got horse's pains in my tail?" Okay.
Too much dirty slang.
Totally
Gef,
indecisive.
Too much gutter language.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely
Thank
the
you,
language.
I don't understand his gutter dialect.
And so, like I said, we wanted to read from this book to tell the story of it because there's not a lot out there that you could find about this guy, even though it's a really fascinating tale. I guess the definitive book was written in the 30s and still available. But I did find something that I want to play for you guys. Well, actually, I was looking to see because this is the 30s. They had to have some kind of recording technology. I mean, music existed or something.
Gef said put on the gramophone.
Yeah. I was hoping one of these investigators would bring some kind of recording, but there was a couple of videos where they basically take the Gef quotes and read them over music, and the audio is bad, the music is louder than the voice, and to be fair, I think I do a better Gef voice than they do, because if you read the comments on them, they all say, "Man, this is bullshit. Gef had a high-pitched voice," and all right, I know I'm not getting that high-pitched, but I'm trying. But I think I did find one rare hidden recording of Gef's voice. Let's hear it.
"My name is Gef.
Wait, what? Wait, what was that?
My name is Gef.
Whoa! So I can't verify if that's the actual Gef's voice. That might be the closest we get. Let's hear it one more time.
My name is Gef.
My name is Gef.
Okay.
My name is Jeff.
And that's the story of Gef. But and there's one thing else I want to play. This is a clip from a radio DJ named RJ Eskew, And he talks about Gef on a show called The 0 Hour. So let's hear what this TJ has to say about Gef.
I want to share with you a story from the Wall Street Journal that I read today, because I read, that's obviously I got to read the Wall Street Journal to do what I do, right? It's the story of